probably isn't as good as the fingering that's written down there. Logically, if we go back to the beginning of that, you'll find that the fingering that's marked, I think, is pretty nice. The fourth finger follows down, then it's fourth, third, first, and fourth again, which means that you can hold the B and the E there at bar 6. And if you can bring in the C on the major 7th on F, that's nice. So that really is the whole of the first section, after which it repeats again. The only thing to think about there is getting back to the barre chord at the beginning, the repeat, and the way to do that is at the end of bar 8 to anticipate the chord change by playing the E and the B up in that position there, which then brings us out with, you use the second finger with that chord nicely phrased. So then we repeat again the whole sequence. And we're coming up to what would be our second theme, second part of the piece. And this is another 8-bar phrase, as we said, which repeats again. So this material from here goes, in fact, from our bare fifths, an E and a B, to an F chord, and an F chord to a G chord, to a C chord, and that repeats an octave higher. So there the general idea is to bring up the top line, and the lower notes, I guess, could be a little bit muted. They seem to me to be accompanying figures rather than the full part. And that's a full chord, and then we slide up and the whole thing is played an octave higher. That could be fingered in a number of ways. I guess the way it's written is the straightest and the most logical. We're bringing ourselves up now into the high position for the F. That's the famous old-fashioned chord that you see a lot of people try to avoid. I can remember seeing that chord written down in so many books early on, which is, you know, the correct way of playing B flat. And then when I went down and looked at guitar players, nobody ever fingered it that way. It was always some other kind of tricky way, which is a lot more convenient, I guess, but still. Suffer that one, and then go further out to the G. I've got that marked as harmonics, which I think sounds nice. Otherwise it would have to be a little tuck in like that. And then you're up to the C. So really that is basically the same thing, an octave higher. Were you to refinger that slightly, I think you could probably get away with this more than anything. And then going up, instead of this, just follow the little finger up. So the little finger would follow up onto the B string there. And you'd have your G and your E open. That way you could go up to the high C and avoid I don't think there's very much in it. And then the last 4 bars are in fact back to the same kind of counterpoint that we had really in the second section, and it's a lot fuller and there's movements in both the parts. So from, let's take it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's go from, let's take from the whole section. So there you've got to be a little bit more careful about the inner and the outer parts. From the C it runs down, top E is held while the chord changes underneath. And that's a very nice rich chord if you can get it all working. The G sharp resolves onto the A, which is now brought down there. We move back to an E chord. And there you can see the bass line is, which just seems to work beautifully. And then at the end, the A is held as a suspended chord against the E chord there. So you keep your little finger down there. I guess you could even play it again. That way you've got the open E, the B and the E phrase like that. Your little finger drops down to the leading note. And it's very tempting to hold that as a bar chord and just have the D there that's going to resolve to the third as the first finger. I guess really if you tuck your second finger in there, it's just a little bit cleaner and it brings you out again. On the A major to finish, after which the section repeats absolutely as it is. Well, that's pretty much the way I see the way to look at that. As I say, there's not a great deal of material. It does repeat, and you can make as much variations, I think, as you like in the way of tonal contrast. But the whole idea is to keep the parts clean and moving. So let's play it together now and have a look at the whole thing on the split screen. Sequence there, back to the top, preparing the A minor, the E chord, coming back to the sequence, A minor, C, F, there's the E. Now we're running up on the F chord, keep the top flowing, C. Melody, harmonics.